Bruh.
So, I gotta say, since I switched to this build, I have not bricked once with this deck in the over dozens of games I've played and tested with this. That's right. Go check out these hands. These hands are crazy. Oh. Ah. That's a bit awkward, isn't it? Okay, so first of all, let's go over the very few reasons why you would even consider playing this deck anymore, and why you shouldn't just dismantle all your damn Kashtira cards and all your Rise Hearts and Arise Hearts and all that crap. Okay. First of all, people do not give a shit about Kashtira anymore after the Banlist. They will not care about Trashtira Rise Heart. The only reason that people will be running outs to a Rise Heart is because of some other deck necessitating you run outs for a different monster. Such as previously, pre-Banlist, we've had this deck called Pearly that puts up extra Gnar. And because of the existence of Gnar, people have been running random stuff like tribute removal, like Kaijus, Lava Golems, or Kurikara, or they've been running Herald of the Abyss to out Gnar, not giving a shit about Kashtira, but just because, a Rise Heart is a very fragile boss monster, it gets hit in the crossfire. Well, post-Banlist, Hurley is probably going to see just as much play as Kashtira does, so we probably don't have to worry about people taking in cards because of Hurley. Now, the meta might change to where tribute removal might still be good, but I definitely do not think that they will be as popular post-Banlist, because if you look at the other decks in the format, Mathmech, Labrynth, and Branded Despia, tribute removal is not good against those decks, because the majority of those decks, disruption comes from the back row, or in the Labrynth case, it comes completely from the back row. So the monsters are like the less important part of your end board. So because of that, there's going to be less people playing tribute removal following that logic. Also, Super Heavy Samurai, the best deck coming out from the new pack. Maybe people will still play stuff like Sphere Mode or Kurikara or Lava Golem. People will not be playing probably Kaijus, because Kaijus, that deck puts up like 3 to 4 boss monsters each with like an Omni Negate. One Kaiju is really not going to put a dent in their board. So that's a positive. And if you don't out a Rise Heart still FTKs like decks if they don't have an answer to it, most likely. And the cards that are most likely out on Rise Heart generically are stuff like, Fenrir, which is also going to take a hit in usage because, it got hit on the ban list and there's only one Lao. So not only will people see it less, they're just less inclined to play it overall in non-Kashtira decks. And, Kashtira is another deck that also doesn't mind a Rise Heart so much, but we don't need to talk about how little we should expect to see the Kashtira mirror match. Just forget about that. Also, randomly, Super Heavy Samurai is a pendulum deck that utilizes pendulum mechanic. I know it's like quote unquote pendulum deck. Like when does it actually use like the intended pendulum mechanics? But the fact that it has to use scales means that Shangri-La just randomly locking one pen zone is a bit more annoying and actually relevant this meta, or the meta next ban list and next selection pack, which is at the same time. Versus before, zone locking was almost completely irrelevant because you just didn't have ways to facilitate locking enough zones to where it matters. But now all you need to do is lock one zone, one of the 2 pendulum zones, and it actually does something. Another reason is that at least one of the perks of this deck is that it doesn't care about Maxi, or it doesn't care about Maxi as much. In a Master Duel metagame, that's important, but also because Kashtira is as a deck, it's just gonna completely fall off the face of the earth in terms of usage, and more importantly, Fender is also gonna drop off in usage. People not and the new deck coming out, Super Heavy Samurai, is a deck that plays Gamma, so people are very just not inclined to shotgun maxi anymore. They will pretty much, I would expect people to pretty much never maxi you before you actually summon your first Kashtira monster. And well, that's big, because that's huge for playing on maxi, because then you could, you summon Unicorn, right, and you use Theosis, they chain maxi, they get one draw off that, and then you can literally add Rise Heart with Fender, normal Rise Heart, and then you can go into a Rise Heart off for 2 draws, which is probably one of the best plays that any deck can do under maxi. Ending on a potential game-winning Floodgate monster for 2 draws, and ain't nobody gonna max you before you summon your first Kashtira monster. So your first fat hash monster, your first special summon is always free now. And next is, I guess this isn't really a reason to play Kashtira, but I will say that the Fender hit is not as big of a hit to Kashtira as it is to literally every other deck, since every other deck wants to slash Fenders so they can special Fender and add Fender and then use the Fender for, like, random other stuff like attributes like Vanquish Soul or discards like Perlydid or whatever. Just having another card in hand as backup if they clear your first Fender, right? Well, so people are going to be less inclined to play Fender in other decks, but in Kashtira itself, Fender is actually not really the card you want to start with. In fact, if you open Fender in Kashtira, it really does nothing for you in terms of plays. Your play is the same as other deck. It's Fender pass, or you can go into Shangri-La pass and decide to lose to an Ash Blossom. So yeah, the best play is still Unicorn, and because Unicorn is your best starter, the amount of Unicorn you have in your deck from the balance did not actually change. There might be like some edge cases where drawing into one Fender is kind of bad or kind of bricky, and that's usually when you open Planet Pathfinder plus Fender, because then you have to use a normal summon on Pathfinder, which means your Unicorn, because the Fender is stuck in your hand, your Theosis cannot summon out Fender because obviously it's in your hand, and you also can't Unicorn summon add Birth to normal Defender because you normal summon the Pathfinder. So that's a conflict right there. Although, if you draw any other Kashtira mons, if you draw one of your 5 copies of either Rise Heart or Scareclaw Clash, then you can play through that, drawing the Fender. If you open like Fender with just like a Unicorn, then that's completely fine. You would just Unicorn add your 1 of Burp to normal summon the Fender from hand, that's fine. It's only really conflicts with Planet Pathfinder, which this is mandatory, I still think, because Planet Pathfinder is the best card in the deck because it gets Wraiths off, which is best card in your deck. It's a starter, but also it gives basically gives Shangri-La a pop effect, which is something you can actually use during your opponent's turn for extra interruption, because the deck doesn't really have too much interruption if it's like outside of the Floodgate effect of a Rise Heart and stuff like that. So now that we've covered the few positives going for Kashtira, let's discuss the negatives, which is everything else. And you could probably figure that out by just looking at this deck. Like, this deck looks like absolute dog shit. The Birth hit, it's a hit to recovery, yes. You're never gonna top deck a Birth because it's at 1, and if your Birth dies somehow, God forbid, it's actually a huge struggle to get it back, because now you can't just whoop Unicorn search a Birth. You have to get it to the grave or get it banished, and then banish a Theosis with a Rise Heart, or banish a Theosis from grave with Scareclaw Cash just to get the Kashtira Birth back. Like, you have to like jump through several hoops, and this is the best card in the deck for the grind game. And also, it hurts your consistency too, because this was part of your 2-card combos to end on the Rise Heart. Everyone knows the 1-card combos, which is just like Unicorn and access to Unicorns, so Platinum Pathfinder, Wraiths off, Prosperity, which is, probably going to add a copy of Unicorn. But if you don't open one of those, The next most common way you end on a Rise Heart is by having a 2-card combo of Rise Heart or Fender plus Kashtira spells like Theosis or Birth. And clearly that's gonna happen less often now because you lost 1 Fender and you lost 2 Birth. You lost 3 cards that contribute to the 2-card combos. And yeah, this is like part of the reason why we added Ogre back in, even though I hate this card, and it's like, honestly, this card is literally a dead card in hand if you actually open playable, because you're never gonna want to even summon this out of your hand. You have better options, or you're not even gonna, like, if you have access to Theosis, you're probably not gonna Theosis out Ogre. You'd rather Theosis out the 1 Fender because you probably don't have the Fender already because it's limited. But this is more names, so like, in the event that you do draw a Theosis or a Birth, at the very least, you can say that you have some sort of combo, as long as you pair up one of these 2 spells with one of your Kashtira monsters. And Ogre counts. Scareclaw Cash does not count. That's why this is still at 1, and why we're not running Tier Cash, because those cards don't really, they're just extenders. They don't contribute to helping you play the game. They're only useful if you already have a playable hand. So, and God knows the biggest hurdle for this deck to cross is getting to the playable hand part. And while not spectacular, Rise Heart plus Ogre at least does something, right? It doesn't end on just Shangri-La Pass, essentially. And if you can see, there's a little package here in the X deck that I'll show you what you probably want to do with Rise Heart and Ogre. That's not just make Shangri-La and add prep, banish Fenrir, but I'll get to that later. The pots. So Pot of Desires going from 2 to 1 is just like a kick in the balls, because this is pretty much the deck most likely to play Desires out of like all the decks, or should I say all the decks above Kashtira in the tier list probably are not playing Desires. But so this is just a random hit, and it's not like, I'm not even sure you would run 2, to be honest, with 1 Fender, because then if you banish Fender, that's also hella annoying. And I'm not sure running Pot of Extravagance is correct either, to be honest. Like, the extra deck doesn't matter too much, but also the one time I activated Extrav, I banished 3 of my Rise Hearts anyways. So what the fuck is the point of that? And it's not just knowing when you manage 3 Rise Hearts. A big part of this deck's power level still is that fact that you can, with a Rise Heart not being limited, that you can still end on multiple Rise Hearts, and Pot of Extravagance grouping 2 Rise Hearts out of your X deck also cuts down the power level significantly. Also, you can't really use this going second, or you don't want to use this going second, because if you Extrav randomly and then you just banish your Zeus, well, that's your best going second tool gone. So yeah, that, or you're gonna rip a Dark Armed or something like that. So God, like, I don't even like this card too much. This is possibly cuttable. And the non-engine, obviously you're gonna run the Maxi, Ash, Shifter, and Imperm, like probably those. And then the rest of the hand traps, I like the Ghost Girls. These are usable under Rise Heart. First of all, that's important, because yeah, you want to protect your Rise Heart, and if you have hand traps that you can't use under Rise Heart, that doesn't, they can't protect your Rise Heart. And also Bell hits matchups that are really difficult for you going second, such as Mathmech and Labrynth, and potentially Branded Despia, depending on their hand. Although I'm not the biggest fan of Bell versus Branded. At least it does something, and it covers 2 matchups that are usually very hard to hand trap. And Mourner is just basically it's just Veiler that can work under a Rise Heart. The problem is, with Super Heavy Samurai coming, you might have to switch to Droll. And if you switch to Droll, there's a big issue there, because Droll is one of these hand traps that have to be discarded to the graveyard. which means that you cannot droll under a Rise Heart. So, yeah, that makes droll a bad card going first, as weird as that sounds. You might still need to run it going second, and the fact that you need to play a hand trap that can possibly conflict with your main boss monster is just another reason why not to play Kashtira. But you're probably not coping as hard as I am, so you also see in the extra deck that somehow, even though this deck's extra deck largely doesn't matter, it still has room issues in the fact that we don't have room to fit any of the good prosperity or extravagance banishes that you can attach onto Rise Heart, such as Garura, Intis, Infinitrack, Goliath, or any of the fossil knights that like pop a spell or pop a monster, right? Somehow this deck's extra deck space is hella tight because Extract makes you run 3 of each of Shangri-La in a Rise, and then the Zeus is mandatory. And then, I like running Baron because even though it's gonna happen less, level 3 hand trap plus Unicorn, or really any Kashtira monster for that matter, plus a Theosis Rebirth lets you do a Kashtira combo under a Baron, which God knows this deck needs something that can possibly just even pretend to protect your Rise Heart. And then you're not gonna cut your utility levels rank 7, even though there's only 2 other rank 7s. And the reason is we were fitting in this package right here: the Galaxy Tomahawk, Link Spider, Security Dragons, Saryuja Skeldred. Okay, so what the fuck is this here for? Here, why don't I show you? So the reason for the Tomahawk stuff in the extra deck is for hands like this. Now, yes, I had a pot of extract in my hand, but I wanted to show off the line. I didn't want to banish my extra deck, so just pretend that this is just another dead card or another hand trap. Specifically, the hands are Rise Heart plus a cash monster that's not Unicorn. So like Rise Heart plus Fender or Rise Heart plus Ogre most commonly. Those hands cannot produce a Rise Heart by themselves. Or it also works if your opponent like jumps the gun and decides to in-perm your Unicorn for some reason. Then Rise Heart plus in-perm Unicorn, you can also do the line. So now I know it's gonna look a bit cope, but you're gonna start with special summoning your other cash monster, and you're gonna just add Ogre. We're gonna add Prep, and then this Rise Heart, you're gonna normal summon it. Okay, normal summon it. We don't want to lock ourselves into Xyz. Then you're gonna activate Rise Heart, and you can banish. Now, you could probably guess where we're going with this, but I'm gonna banish just Big Bang for now, just to make it a level 7. And we're gonna go into Galaxy Tomahawk. Okay, this is gonna be the most underwhelming Tomahawk you've ever seen in your life. Okay, so Galaxy Tomahawk, detach. Make sure you summon it in the main monster zone. You do not have the gas to make use of this in the extra monster zone. Okay, so now you're gonna make Link Spider with 1 token, and you're gonna make Security Dragon with 2 other tokens. And now you're gonna make Saryuja. Make sure you do not treat Security Dragon as 2 material. Make sure you treat it as 1 material. Saryuja needs to be made with 4 different monsters to get the draw effect. Okay. And now you're gonna activate Saryuja. Okay, so the reason I banished Big Bang is we're trying to hit either a Unicorn or we're trying to hit another Kashtira monster plus Theosis, or Birth plus Theosis. Basically any combination of those cards will let you end on a Rise Heart line. I didn't banish something like a Fender, for example, just to bring it back off prep, because I don't I want to potentially draw into a Fender for like the 2-card combo with Theosis. You know, I just want to draw as many possible combo pieces left in my deck as possible. So Skaldred, draw 4, and this is probably the worst combination that you could get, but this works. So we're gonna put back 3 cards, put back the extra that we never used, and I'll put back the Maxi because we're not gonna be able to use it where it's from. Okay, so now you can use Scareclaw's effect, or you could use Saryuja Skaldred's effect. If you drew a unicorn, you could use Saryuja. Any Kashtira monster you summon, you can just use Saryuja to special summon your cash monster. But since we drew Kashtira, Scareclaw Kashtira, we don't even actually have to use Skaldred's effect. So summon Kashtira and let's banish the Ogre. Okay, and since we drew the Theosis with one of our 4 cards that we drew, you can Theosis the Scareclaw Cash, and then this will get you your Kashtira Unicorn. And here you can use Kashtira Unicorn to add your Kashtira Birth, and then use Kashtira Birth to special summon back your Kashtira Ogre. And here you go. Here is your Arise Heart. Bam. And you even got you got the attack boost from Skaldred, and you got a Kashtira Big Bang to attach, which can summon back your unicorn. So yeah, that's a hand that can normally not make a Rise Heart now can make a Rise Heart. It's totally worth using 5 slots in the extra deck for. Totally not cope. Totally does not come up only like one every maybe like 8 or 9 games, but you know it's there. Your extra deck doesn't matter too much. If you want, you can put this package here, and now that increases your Arise Heart rate, which Fed is like I don't know how to pronounce her name exactly, but you know she ran the calculations on this exact build, and there's about an 85% Arise Heart rate uninterrupted. Obviously, you get interrupted, that's going to go down significantly. But you know this deck has passable consistency. So yeah, there you go. So now let's see if the deck plays any differently in these replays. And you know, you open a hand like this, Pathfinder, Unicorn, Pot of Prosperity, Theosis, going first. It's like who calls this deck bricky, right? Like just draw the 5 best cards in your deck, easy. We're just gonna add a Rise Heart and then Unicorn. Then so for those of you uninitiated, this is probably the most high ceiling Edward deck can produce that loses hard to a Nibiru. So hopefully people won't be spamming that next format. But yeah, Shangri-Ira, and then you'll Rise Heart, banish the Big Bang, and then trigger Shang. Make sure you lock a pen zone now, because that's actually going to matter post Banlist. You know, if you're for some reason you're playing this deck, special back Defender, and then activate Rates Off, targeting Shangri-Ira so you can detach the material off it. And this is a misplay. At this point, there's no point holding this Birth. I already was not playing to Nibiru. They also know I searched Birth, so like there's no point of holding that information. I'm just gonna activate Birth. It should just activate Birth, summon back the Unicorn, make a 3 material Rise Heart, and then summon Kashtira Scareclaw so I can get an extra attach onto it. But obviously that doesn't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things. Now it feels it's gonna add back Big Bang that we banished, and gonna make a Rise Heart number 1. Then you're gonna Birth, bring back the Unicorn, and you're just gonna overlay the second Rise Heart over the Unicorn. This way you get to keep the Shangri-Ira on board. So this is like if you open the double Rise Heart combo plus like hard open Theosis or hard open Birth, then you can keep the Shangri-Ira on Theosis. You can keep the Zone Lock in play, and also keep the Shangri-Ira on board, which can then trigger Race Off for an extra pop on your opponent's turn. And you're gonna Prosperity, and you know there's nothing really we care about anymore. We're just gonna add the best hand trap that we find which is Ashe, and this Ashe plays a very interesting part in this duel, as I'm sure you can probably figure it out based on the intro. So we're gonna Shangri-La summon Unicorn. No fear, because we got double Rise Heart, and our opponent's on Mannadium. So Mannadium cannot beat a single Rise Heart. And here I got greedy and activated Unicorn's effect, so that I could basically trigger the Raids off, and then trigger Shangri-La. That way you get to pop this, so it gets popped and it goes to the graveyard using normal summon, and they got 2 zones locked, including the one directly under their EMZ, which is against Mannadium. That's the zone you want to lock. You want to occupy one zone with one of your monsters, then hit the one below so they can't special the Scareclaw monsters under their link, their link 1. So yeah, now we're gonna do this Rise Heart time wasting on an auto sim, and here our opponent activates Tactics, and they Tactics look at my hand. Okay, so I'm thinking, why did you look at my hand when I have 2 Rise Hearts on board? Okay, so they put away the Ashe, and you know what's coming next, right? They Tactics took away my Ashe Enhance so that they could make their Book of Eclipse not get ashed. Yeah, that's a very foresight play, and I just detached the Theosis off my Rise Heart to add that to Scare Clash so that, you know, potentially I might have a better chance of living. Now, unfortunately, I don't know what our opponent can do at this point because they've already committed the normal summon, they've used Broomheart's effect, and they don't have anything in the grave to use any revival spells. So at that point, they were already probably cooked anyways. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that was pretty much damn near the best board a Rise Heart, the best damn board Kashtira can make, and it got scary there. So that just shows to show you how great this deck is. So we're gonna be playing against the hardest matchup in the game to go second against for this deck, and it's Labrynth. And you're gonna probably think, well, you look at your hand. Of course you won this game, right? You have Ashe and you have Bell. Well, just watch the rest. It is a struggle, despite opening literally a sculpted hand Exodia versus Labrynth. And Planet Pathfinder, they don't even stop the Planet Pathfinder. So Raidsoft is gonna add Rise Heart because we already have a Unicorn, special Unicorn, and lose 1 turn. Fun. This is a misplay. Do not special. There's no point special summoning the Rise Heart. I thought normal summon it cool, but I already normal summon Planet Pathfinder because this deck is just great. It has to run fantastic cards like Planet Pathfinder, which then means you can't normal summon the Rise Heart, which means then you play and lose 1 turn, which means just keep this shit in your hand and don't summon it because it literally accomplishes nothing right here. It banished Defender, whoop-de-doo, and now I set an Imperm in the lose 1 turn column. And here, I Bell the Big Welcome, and I Ashe the Welcome Ladder. And our opponent's down to 1 card plus lose 1 turn. So like, you must be thinking, like surely, like, that's it, right? Well, they top deck a card, and of course it's Big Welcome, and I don't have a way to stop that. Now here comes Lady Labrynth, and that's gonna get their Welcome back, they're gonna get their Chandragulator back, and I realized that if I don't do something this turn, I'm gonna lose next turn, despite opening Ashe plus Bell versus both Welcome cards versus Labrynth. And I'm going to use Unicorn's effect. We're gonna banish one of their Entices. They only had 2 in their extra deck. And we're gonna Unicorn effect, and that's gonna get Imperm. See, I don't know why they waited that long to Imperm, to be honest, but I guess they wanted to play around the Tribute Summon Unicorn in my hand. True. Speaking of Tribute Summon, this is the only way to out Labrynth, the Lady Labrynth defense build. Normal Summon Kashtira Ogre. This gets past lose 1 turn's restriction, and because of Raidsoft, it is now bigger than Lady Labrynth. Because the Raidsoft 100 attack point gain effect is relevant. You know, it is a part of the card text for some reason. I don't know why they decided to add that into it. It's not like the card wasn't good enough already. Yeah, they're gonna. By the way, I just want to point out they were gonna top deck Big Welcome Labrynth 2 turns in a row. Like, I swear, Labrynth players are just built different. Never lose the coin flip, and always draw multiple Welcome Labrynths. Fortunately, Shangri-La gets past lose one turn because it activates on the opponent's turn, not the turn it's summoned. And we're gonna use Prep to bring back the Fender, and then Shangri-La is gonna summon Unicorn, and that's gonna trigger lose one turn. But we're gonna pop it so it doesn't actually trigger the lose one turn. And I learned this today, that lose one turn's effect is an activated effect, which means that it triggers preparations. Now they can just dodge it with the Shangri-La in hand, so it's not really a big deal for them, I suppose. And they're gonna set Labrynth. And after all that, after all of this, outing their entire board and ashing 2 of their Welcome Labrynth traps. Okay, they're gonna use Welcome Labrynth to summon out the lovely Labrynth, and then the Labrynth is gonna pop my Unicorn, and then it's gonna trigger lovely Labrynth and Shangri-La, and as I try to infirm it, that's gonna burn one of their 2 big welcomes in the grave. So they can dodge my infirm too. And this is like just worst case scenario pretty much. So now it pops my Fender with a lovely Labrynth, and they get their Shangri-La back. Now, I do win this game because, you know, preparations. This is the preparations coming in clutch because yeah, that much of a struggle after opening the literal best hand this deck can produce versus Labrynth. I still had to struggle for grind for 3 extra turns in order to see out the victory. So we have another match against Mannadium, and I guess this is what you're trying to do going second with this deck. You're just trying to open multiple hand traps. Okay, so you're gonna open Reichphobia into Reichheart, which is not necessarily what you want, because you know, now you can't use Reichphobia again, even though you can add it with the Link 1. Of course, Maxi gets negated. You know, Maxi doesn't actually resolve in a Master Duel unless it's for your opponent. And they're gonna link off into Lightheart, which there's no point mourning Lightheart because they already used the Field Spell, and the Field Spell is a hard once per turn. And now they're gonna rival back the Reichheart into Visa Starfrost, special summon Roomheart by hitting the Reichheart. And here's where we're gonna go smarter this. Okay, that's, yeah. Please just end on a Baron. Okay, we're not laying them into Meek and actually doing their Mannadium plays. Okay, so yeah, Baron pass. And just draw the one. Just draw the one of. How hard is that? Like how difficult is it just to draw the one of limited card? And they don't suspect that I'm using Fender despite a Baron on the field. So yeah, here comes the Planet Pathfinder now, and Pathfinder is gonna add Raidsaw. And then Raidsaw adds Unicorn, and it's gonna special the Unicorn, which is gonna add Theosis, and then birth back the Fender, by the way, and then Theosis, the Unicorn, just summon the Kashtira, and so I forgot my opponent was at 6,500 life points because they paid for they paid 1,500 life points somewhere. I forgot where, but I thought they were at 8k. That's why I summoned this Rizard. They do not do that. That just played into Nibiru for no reason. They were already dead without this Rizard. So yeah, here comes the Defender banishing the Baron, and then they can protect it with Scareflower Rival. But even with the protected Scareflower Rival, that was still game without the Rizard. So I just potentially just lost the Nib for no reason. This whoopsie. So I'm not gonna lie, this isn't the greatest game I've ever played in the world. Probably saying this to my opponent. And they're gonna begin with Firewall Defensor. Now I'm gonna skip through this because who wants to watch Cyberse combos for like 10 minutes, but one Firewall Defensor, keep in mind, I think is full math that combo. You get Super Factorial with all 3 names plus diameter engraved, and then a Terahertz at least with a Desafe Worm engraved. Okay, that should be the minimum you get from Firewall Defensor. Our opponent's not playing Math Deck, they're playing a Cyberse Pile, so in theory they should go even further beyond than the basic Math Deck combo. Here's what they end on. Okay. Firewall Pass with the Save Farm engraved. They did not search Super Factorial, they did not go through any math mech lines. This Protect code does nothing. Your opponent cannot target link for higher monsters or card effects. Your Terahertz is already co-linked with a transcode talker. It already cannot be targeted. This thing here does nothing. This is literally Firewall Pass with one random back row that's not Super Factorial. And let's see how much Kashtira struggles with that board. You draw a Pot of Extravagance. Okay, so my one out to... It's annoyingly enough, I don't have a clean out to Firewall Pass. I have to kind of make a Zeus, and because I have to make a Zeus, I can't use this Pot of Extravagance because it's gonna banish my one of Zeus. So yeah, that sucks ass. I hate this card. We're gonna special Kashtira Ogre, and they're gonna just negate the Ogre because the Ogre searching a trap card is definitely the most threatening thing right now. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Okay, let's special Rise Heart. Okay, special Rise Heart, activate effect, and they forbidden droplet it. I don't know why they forbidden droplet it right now instead of wait for my Exceeds, because my Exceeds is just gonna attack, enter battle phase to attack, and then it's gonna run into your droplet and it's gonna kill itself, and I have to make another body. But instead, they just hit the Rise Heart, so now I just have to get one more body on for Ogre instead of getting 2 extra bodies. It's you know, we're gonna Theosis, eat the Save Worm, and that's all 3 interruptions gone with fucking Ogre and Rise Heart. Because yeah, those were definitely the most threatening cards to negate. Here comes the Pathfinder, add the Raidsoff, and Raidsoff is gonna add Scareclaw Clash, and Scareclaw Clash is gonna banish the Theosis Engrave, and Theosis is gonna add back Unicorn for follow up on the next turn. And here we can go into Big Eye and attack over the Decode Talker, like Protect Code Talker. That did absolutely nothing. It had no purpose on the field, and here comes the Zeus, and Zeus is going to clear the board. Now, funnily enough, I still lose in my opponent top deck Circular, but they're playing the 60 card Math Mech piles, or 60 card Cyberse Pile, so their chances of drawing the Circular is a lot less than if they just played Math Mech. So is this deck dead post Banlist? Hold on, let me inhale something real quick. Look, it ain't that much worse than it already was. I'm just gonna say it right now. If this deck is dead post Banlist, then it was already dead before. So and you know, honestly, it might very well be. But you know, if you think there's a niche for this deck, because like it's again the consistency prop ain't too bad. You know, as you know, surely Kashtira Ogre makes up for losing one Fender, right? Surely. You know, 85% of Rise Heart rate, right? Copium. But I mean, if you think there's like a niche in the meta for a deck that spams a fucking Macrocosmos Floodgate on Lakes, then you know, this is pretty much the only deck that can consistently do that. And additional bonus of locking a zone. If I were to play this deck in this format, here's what I would change. Probably take out 3 of these and then put in the roll, and you know, something like this. That's it really. You don't have to play the Saryuja package. It's honestly, it's completely optional. It's honestly just a meme, like a fucking YouTube combo thing. But you know what? You're not playing this deck to be the most competitive, probably. So you're playing this deck to meme, most likely. And you know what says more meme than fucking Tomahawk into trying to draw hard draw into a unicorn? Because you know that's why Tomahawk is played, to draw into your starter.